This is Masters Report. I'm John Masters, and you're not. What if I was to tell you that everything that we're seeing right now, all of the stuff that we're going through, was actually planned and presented to the government through Hillary Clinton's campaign? What if I was to tell you it was all laid out in options? They just didn't do it in 2016 because I'm pretty sure they weren't really prepared. But what if I was to tell you that it's happening now? And what if I was to tell you one of the options that was presented to the government to bring in the NWO is an alien invasion? I want you guys to check out this video. I trimmed it down. I've got a link to the original video so you can see this was done in 2016. This study that I'm going to present to you, which we're living through now. Check it out.
It says Benson Strategy Group by the Clinton Foundation Salvage Program, as you can see up here in the corner. And
all right, I'm going to cut in here real quick because he doesn't really go through the Benson Strategy Group, but BSG is a partner built for the challenges you face today and the strategies you need tomorrow. We help leaders connect with, persuade, and activate the audiences you need to win, and apparently by any means necessary. BSG's reputation as a premier consulting and strategic research firm is built on our relentless pursuit of the right answers. In today's world, cutting through the clutter and noise is harder than it has ever been. This means to connect and achieve your goals, again, by any means possible. And you guys will see when you go through this video, you need more than a message. Yes, you need to manipulate the people. Anyways, our unique approach is built in collaboration with our clients to develop their durable narrative. Rooted in their values, we leverage our language, expertise, and innovative quantitative and qualitative methods to uncover the hidden architecture of opinion. Or we'll create it for you. Again, you'll see in this video. Guys, this was done in 2016. I want you to remember this as we go into it. Anyways, that shapes your audience's decision frames.
it seems like it's an analytic study that states that Donald Trump is going to win by a landslide. At this point, he says right here, at this point, Donald Trump has both momentum and enthusiasm. Distrust in the mainstream media is blunting the impact of the collective polling narrative. As election day approaches, Hillary Clinton's favorable ratings have crashed to historic lows, 12% in nonpartisans, and Donald Trump is consolidating support. 97% of LV Republican identifying respondents are either enthusiastic or very enthusiastic about voting for Trump. Among independents, Hillary voters who are exposed to any alternative media, 70% are aware of the WikiLeaks emails and find them either disturbing, 54%, or deeply disturbing, 18%. Among liberal identifying whites, support is shifting from Hillary, -27%, since October 1st, to Donald Trump, 78%, or Jill Stein, 21%.
Now, for those of you that are wondering why Julian Assange is now in jail and everybody wants a piece of him, you know why. NWO. He basically, they're talking about its alternate media, they're talking about everything else. No. WikiLeaks destroyed Hillary.
So this is a very in-depth study, and they go into a lot of details of what they have found. But now remember, this is a salvage program, as it states right here. A salvage program by the Benson Strategy Group. It has the address right there. And through the Clinton Foundation. This is going to be really interesting because I'm scrolling down. More details on the analysis. It says right here, the salvage program, it says, at this point, Donald Trump has both momentum and enthusiasm. Distrust in the mainstream media is blunting the impact. So right here, it has categories. Clinton, mind made up. Clinton, mind could change. Trump, mind made up. Trump, mind could change. It goes into a lot of details here. You'll find it very, very interesting. Clinton's collapse in both soft and hard support was steady and pronounced following the first debate. Salvage program says the damage has metastasized. Hillary is widely considered sick, untrustworthy, and most Hillary-leaning Democrats would vote to replace her. Okay, but now let's keep in mind that this is a salvage program. Okay, number 2 right here on the next page, it says Trump voters are virtually unstoppable. The public has lost faith in polling, and it goes into details as well in this study, analytical study, I would think. All right, this is really the most interesting part of the whole thing. It says right here, salvage options, recommendation, and alternatives. We have analyzed a number of political salvage options. Let me see if I can make that a little bigger so you guys can read it. Center of the page. Okay, here we go. It says salvage options, recommendation, and alternatives. We have analyzed a number of potential salvage options and have a strong recommendation. Okay, here we go. Non-recommended salvage options. Okay, check this out. Pay attention to this right here. It says here, Red Dawn. Support is too widespread, while an RD scenario using UN forces and Canadian border infill would be effective in shutting down northern voting. It would simply delay the inevitable and result in a hardened support for Mr. Trump. Red Dawn now. Okay, risks. Here are the risks and the issues. Loss of property and life. Alternative right forces are prepared for battle.
All right, I'm going to cut in. I gave him his chance on the big time. He's just a little slow. He doesn't have the practice that I do. So, and he's slow. Anyways, I want to cover these also and get your guys' opinion on it. Because I think you already know. Okay, Red Dawn, they're talking about Russia invading, which really brings up an interesting question. How deep is the NWO? How deep are they to where they can make a telephone call? Remember, this was in 2016 and have Russia invade. Of course, there's the option it could be military forces dressed as Russians, but the point of the matter is Red Dawn, Russian invasion. And of course, they're going to come in from the north because Russia is up north. It's their easiest way to attack. So, that is a really important and scary question. All right, Cobalt Rain. Now, some of these two, Cobalt Rain and Zicopocalypse, okay? Those two, let's kind of combine those because I believe what they did is they decided, look, let's put them together and we're going to have it more effective. Because, guys, remember, this is 2016 and we're seeing it now. Cobalt Rain, the public has been primed for radiological attack, and stockpiles have been positioned, but while the psychological impact of a CO-60 weapon is severe, the threshold of opportunity may have passed for this to stop a vote. Now, if that is true for this to stop a vote, it kind of makes sense why we started our pandemic approximately beginning of the year, basically January. Okay, the cons of this is loss of profit under martial law. Leaks could compromise. Loss of profit under martial law. They said, screw profit. We're going to do it under a pandemic. Again, I'll get to the Zico. You guys will see what I mean here. BL riots. No, we're not seeing that. Now, timing of this would be important because it's going to have more of an immediate effect. So you want to start with the Cobalt Rain Zico scenario, again, the martial law, and then you want to move into the BL, okay? Again, while staged civil unrest could prevent pockets of America from voting, the damage is too widespread. Again, I think they're at the point that they just don't care. Here's the cons. Command and control is dicey at this point as substantial numbers of employed minorities have defected to Trump. I want you to know command and control is dicey. What they're talking about is it could turn on them, and they have. If you haven't noticed, BL is now considering becoming its own party. They're currently eating their own when it comes to the Democratic leaders, the mayors, etc. They're telling them that they need to leave office now. And this is the way mobs work, guys. Mobs always want more. They'll continue expanding until they've been pushed back. So that's on the bright side. They're eating their own. Now, the Zikapocalypse. I believe what they're referring to here is the Zika virus, which is what they ended up doing with the COVID-19. There's a spread, it's a strain of Zika. But anyways, let's continue. Improved strains of ZIKV have been delivered, and we have disseminated them to operatives. This is back in 2016. Remember this. Unfortunately, this will suppress women voters more than men, even as ZIKV is lethal in adults, unless, of course, you change that around to where it's now only lethal to the elderly. Remember, they've had another, 3 years to improve the virals. This would hurt Hillary Clinton, and Trump voters are willing to risk lethal pathogen to vote. This is the negatives again, the cons, post-election control. I don't understand that because I would say that that's a positive. That's something that they want. Now, this one that didn't do, but it's tied into the other two, okay? The Cobalt Rain. I'm telling you, they just combine these. States have blocked key immigration operatives. Without the required Muslim Islamic population in place, the IE plan would not be sufficiently impactful. What they're talking about is the more that we have the immigrants coming in, the more the Sharia law comes up. This is what they're talking about. So I believe that they did a compromise. Instead, we're going to push masks. Cons. The LEO is pro-Trump and will not roll over due to the Muslim demands of political correctness. All right, I want you to take a look up here. Riots. Okay, I want you to note something here. Under the con, LEO is pro-Trump and will not roll over due to Muslim demands of political correctness. LEO is pro-Trump. All right, how do we weaken LEO since they're so pro-Trump? Well, let's go back over to the BL riots. Let's see how all this is like everything's tied together. All right, let's take a look at the last one. These are not recommended scenarios at that particular time. It doesn't mean that they didn't start planning to put it into effect. Unnatural disaster, HARP, is in a skeleton crew mode. Subterranean thermobarics, I think I got it, thermobarics devices and fracking mines are untested. Survey suggests this might not stop Trump victory. The government, if you guys haven't noticed, have been pushing the hell out of fracking. I mean, they have been pushing the hell out of it. Fracking is when you drill down here and then you go underneath the shale. Okay, so you cut over and you grab the oil from the side, which also creates tunnels. And once the oil's drained out, you have a big-ass cavern with, a tunnel leading right to it. All right, here's what they recommend. Now, before I go into this one, this is a Project FireSign. I want to ask you all a question. Are you guys having trouble sleeping at night by chance? Did it start about March? It's almost as if you can't go into deep sleep. You can basically dream, and there's almost like in your dreams or in your sleep, there's a sense of agitation. Have you guys noticed that? Because you do know that sleep deprivation, in other words, not allowing deep sleep, will make the mind open. In other words, sleep deprivation have been used by the government for years in interrogation. So I'm just kind of curious if anybody else has, please put it in description, because I know I have. As a matter of fact, you may be noticing that my videos are coming out in the afternoon. It's because I'm sleeping mostly during the day now, where I can actually sleep. All right, this is their recommended option here. It's called Project FireSign. And I want to remind you all that the cons, the ones that they don't recommend, we're seeing a lot of it right now. Which means if this is their greatest chance, if this is their best bet, and we haven't seen it yet, I can guarantee you it's coming up. It's coming up. And this is part of the reason why I've been doing a lot of the videos that you've been seeing the last couple of days. I've been getting my intuition is really, really good, guys. My intuition has been saying, cover this, John, something's going on here. So I'm covering it. For almost 2 decades, the Department of Defense and NASA has coordinated on a black book project under the code name FireSign. FireSign aims to create a religious awe effect in enemy population to create an instantaneous psychological soft kill. In other words, submission. The operation uses high-powered lasers to project real-seeming images on the sodium layer 100 kilometers above the surface. These images can cover hundreds or even thousands of square miles and can appear completely real, three-dimensional, and can move. These visual cues are augmented with pulsed ELF electronic emissions. See project saying green. I'm going to cover this one next too, guys. All right, I'm going to start doing a lot of these here because I think it's coming up, man. That attack the specific areas of the frontal cortex that are stimulated during religious experience. Also could keep you up at night, could create agitation. In limited tests, subjects have been able to be overwhelmed on both the axis of vastness and overwhelming of the subject frame of reference and a powerful need for accommodation. The mix of these two will provide inaction, lack of focus, or on self or individual interaction, and gross transformation in mental equilibrium. A road to Damascus experience. Social distancing. I want you guys to think about that. Isolation, social distancing. Are they preparing for it? Now, this is the one I think that they're going to go with, at least for the Western world. They may use the religious, especially like in the Muslim countries, etc., but I think for the West, which would be U.S. and Europe, this is the route that they're going to take. The ability to produce these effects across 23% of the continental United States is the objective of FireSign. And field tests in the Levant have proven successful. This is 3 years ago. I wonder how much they've expanded it since then. The FireSign scenario is that of an invading extraterrestrial force of nearly incomprehensible scale, massive floating cities descending godlike, walkers among the clouds with terrifying weapons, wheels of fire and eyes, etc. This phenomenon, when activated, will bring electoral and social systems to a halt, and, in affected areas, will permit a narrative wherein POTUS is able to call a halt to the invasion and then hand over the torch to Clinton, providing basic continuity. Let's change this just a little bit to where POTUS calls a halt to the invasion by handing it over to the United Nations. I can see it. Aftermath. The aftermath of FireSign will be a psychological subjugation of areas where uprisings are most likely to occur. The induced trauma of FireSign will provide ample cover to government and NGOs who will be providing aid, psychotropic to induce docility, vaccinations. And, of course, you need aid. Interesting. And counseling services which will ensure further domestication. FireSign will require a great deal of power, mobile command stations with nitrogen-cooled supercomputers, and the co-opting of the ELF array. We have created a schedule and team roster that can be moved into position following the third debate. All right, that's all they have on that. I do want to bring up this. Do not distribute and do not copy is at the bottom of the paperwork. If you look in the description, I'll give you a link to the original video so you can verify when it was uploaded. But I find this awful interesting. I also find it interesting that their top choice, their recommended approach, we haven't seen yet. Although we do appear to be seeing the build up to it. I'm John Masters, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
If it walks like a duck, if it quacks like a duck, and it looks like a duck, then by God, it's a duck.